Hi guys, welcome to my blog and channel. I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful art journal page today. So I hope you sit back, enjoy. I'm first flipping through my art journal book, and here are the other pages I've already made. This is one from a journey, a home page, a happy anniversary with all hearts, and this is a page that I posted on my blog last week. This is happy spring, and here is the new page that we're going to work on today. I'm leaving one page before that because, in case I want to do some stuff, mess it up. And I'm using distress inks today to create my background colors. I'm using pink picked raspberry, and I'm using this sponge dauber with which I'm going to ink all my background today. So those are the other sponge daubers, mini sponge daubers, where I can, the sponges where I can just remove, like replace this sponge that I'm using right now, and I can stick another sponge dauber with another color. And I'm going to show you through the video how it works. So right now I'm working just around half an inch throughout with one color throughout the border. I'm changing colors and moving on to worn lipstick, which is a little darker shade of pink, and therefore I'm not changing the sponge here. And I'm doing the same technique. I'm just trying to blend the two colors, the picked raspberry that I used in the first one and now the worn lipstick together. I'm using another inch of the worn lipstick through all the four sides of the border. So there you can see I'm trying to, just blend the two colors as I'm moving to the next side. And it's okay if you get those impressions or circle impressions of the sponge dauber. It's just art journaling. If you're too particular, you can just make sure you use a smaller finger dauber that you get. Moving on to the next color, I'm using a brighter orange. And here I'm going to show you how the sponge dauber actually works. So that you can just pull that apart. It's a Velcro. I have two of those, so I didn't have to switch. So I use the Spice Marmalade. It's another distress ink color, and it's a beautiful orange. And I always feel pink and orange go beautifully together. So I'm trying to create this vibrant look. I'm definitely agreeing that this is not my comfort zone. I'm more of a vintage brown kind of person. So I'm trying to create an illusion that there's light in the middle of the page, and then it's just going vibrant from there on. So I'm using a really nice yellow distress ink called the Mustard Seeds in the middle. I initially thought I'd leave the center white, but I didn't like the blank white page look, so I just decided to go with it. Now I'm going to move on with some stenciling and to create more interest onto my page. Oh, and I'm using a little tea dye just to tone down the bright pink color. As I said, it's not my comfort zone, and I wasn't quite comfortable having so much pink and vibrancy on my page. So I thought, okay, I'll just tone it down using a little brown. So here are my stencil collections, and I'm using my Tim Holtz the diamond stencil. I don't know what it's called, I forgot, but it's a beautiful those diamond kind of stencil, and I always go for it when I'm doing like an Indian look or anything that's more Indian. I feel it has a very Moroccan Indian feel to it. I'm using the sponge dauber, and I'm using Spice Marmalade once again to give the feel of ink on ink look. So please check how I'm like turning the sponge dauber instead of just rubbing it on there, and then it gives that beautiful impression on the page. If you just rub it, the ink might go underneath the stencil and mess up your stencil. So you just want to make sure you nicely press down and then turn, just keep have that rotating motion in your hand when you're using the stencil. Moving on, I want to create like sun rays, as I told you. I happen to have one of those stencils as well, so I thought, why not create that sun rays look? So I'm using wet wipes here because this is distress ink and it's going to react with water. Okay, so you have to be really careful that you don't split any any water, splash any water on the background. I'm just making sure where I want to place the sun rays underneath the leaf that I've cut. So there it is. The sun rays underneath the leaf looks so beautiful. I've just used wet wipes, baby wet wipes, and I've just cleaned out using the stencil on the distressed inked page. Now I stamped a flower using Versamark ink, which didn't get filmed by mistake, and then I'm using some white embossing powder. I'm going to show you how to emboss a beautifully stamped white flower on your art journal page. So all I'm doing is cleaning out the the stamped and powdered impression, and then I'm going to heat set it using my Ranger heat tool. Here is my heating tool, and all this does is it melts the powder and gives an embossed effect. You can actually see it while you're working on it, but I couldn't get it on camera. It actually melts the powder and it sticks to the page, and it has that embossed raised feeling once it's all dry and set. So moving on, I'm going to just clean up the embossing powder. So the paper filter always helps to keep your workstation clean. Moving on, I'm going to die cut a few ornaments using that stamp set and die set. So here's my Sizzix die cutting machine, and I'm using those two ornaments and just simply die cutting it. If you do not have a die cutting machine, you can go ahead and you can always use scissors. You can just draw on a piece of cardstock and just cut it. If you feel like the one I did for my leaf, I didn't have a die cut for that. I didn't have a die for a leaf that I wanted, so I just went ahead and hand drew it, and I just cut it off. If you feel you're not really confident with your drawing skills, then it's fine. You can always just print out anything and just cut it and stick it. It's totally fine. So here are the two die cut ornaments. Now I'm going to show you how I gold emboss on it. So I have the matching stamps for this as well. So I'm going to just stamp these two matching ornaments on my die cut pieces, and I'm going to then emboss the gold embossing powder on it and heat set it. So that's the Versamark ink I told you about, and this is going to stamp clear on the ornament. And then I'm going to pour some gold embossing powder. There are plenty of other embossing powders. You can use white, you can use clear. There's so many different beautiful colors available in the market. I'm doing the same for the second ornament as well. And now I'm going to pour some gold embossing powder to give this Ganesha Indian themed page a beautiful shimmer. I mean, what's an Indian page without gold and shimmer, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. It's so beautiful. So I'm going to try and show it on camera to just give you an idea of how beautiful the shimmer look gives. And so I'm just heat setting it. You don't need the pickup tool that I have. It's just a simple tweezer. If you have a tweezer in hand, or if you don't have one, you can always use your fingers and hold it. The ink is still wet. The Versamark ink is still wet, so I didn't want to mess up the stamped impression. So I just used the tool. But you don't really need it. And if you don't have a heat gun, you can always air dry it. It's going to take a while, but I don't really have a lot of patience. So here is my two embossed ornaments, and I thought I'll add some more interest to the pink background. So I'm using worn lipstick, and I'm giving once again the tone-on-tone impression using the stamp. So you saw the tone-on-tone using the stencil, and now I'm using the stamp. As you can see, I'm not able to get a perfect impression on the left side of the page, especially towards the center. That's because my left side of the book is getting bulkier, because I've done a lot of other art journal pages before. It's getting a little bulkier, and I'm trying not to stamp over the white flower because it's already embossed, and if I'm going to stamp over it, the pink ink is going to stay and going to show on top of the white embossed, which I don't want. So I'm just going to skip that white embossed flower and going to do the rest of the page. So now I'm using a simple white paper, and I'm using my Fiskars paper trimmer. If you don't have one, you can just use a simple scissors. It's fine. And you can. I'm going to bring some distressed look to the page that I always go for, and I'm going to make like a scroll which says Happy Ganesh Chaturthi, and that's going to be the title for the page today. So I'm just trying to measure and see how the paper is going to be seated on the book before I go for the distressed work. And here I'm just randomly tearing off the sides of the page to give it a worn look. It's pretty easy. There is no measurement or no nothing for this. I'm just going random and having some fun tearing that paper off. So go ahead, do anything crazy you want. So anything works for an art journal. It's your art journal. You can just, do whatever things that you like. So it's totally fine. And there I have toned down all the four sides, and I love the look it's having right now. I'm crushing the paper. You'll see why. I know it's a white paper, so I'm going to use the tea dye once again. I don't have the vintage color that Tim Holtz sells. I want to always buy it. I think it's a vintage photo if I'm right. I plan on buying it soon. So this is the tea dye, and it has the same brown effect, and it gives a beautiful vintagey paper, old tone paper kind of look, which I'm going for. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink it. And you can see why I crushed the paper before I went and did this. It gives that beautiful effect of a tone, of a worn out vintage paper. I'm using a simple pen to just create that bend of a scroll. And I'm going to ink some more on the edges so you can see. And as the scroll always has a darker edge on the inside, so I'm just going to bring more shading to it. I did the same on the top as well. I'm just making sure it sits on the page still and how I want to place it. I'm just thinking. Oh, now I'm going to stamp some happy Ganesh Chaturthi using these stamps that I don't remember where I bought. These are some simple stamps, and you can stamp them letter by letter. So it's not going to be very um, you know orderly looking and very neat because it's one letter at a time. There are some cling stamps that you can clear or cling stamps that you can get from Tim Holtz. I have some worn stamps, alphabet stamps. You can use those for a perfectly lined lettering or stamping, but I went for the very vintagey look, so I was fine with this kind of stamping. Now I'm going to stamp some more on the page to make sure all my elements that I've already cut and embossed seat beautifully on the page. So I'm using some strings from the stamp set again to hang my two little ornaments. I hope you can get some gold shimmer lighting. You can have a look at that. I hope you can see it on camera. So I'm just trying to place my ornaments and make sure they stand at the right height. And I'm using my Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp these two strings. So there I have one, and I'm going for the second one right now. Now I'm using this border stamp again, just to create some toran or toranam on the page. And I'm going to show you how I make some laddus slash flowers in a few minutes, and how I make some leaves. So here I have a green cardstock, and I have a die cut. I have a die for a leaf, a small simple leaf. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut a few leaves. And don't worry, I'm not going to show you each one as I do it because it's the same process, but I'm just going to show you how it looks. I'm going to do maybe two. I'm just going to show you. So that's one. And I'm going to show you another one so that you understand. I'm just going to keep repeating this process again and again till I get enough to fill my bottle. I love my Sizzix die. If anyone's wondering why my Sizzix machine doesn't have the handle, it just broke a few months ago, and I tried fixing it, and it just keeps falling back. So